Sukuna is known as the King of Curses in Jujutsu Kaisen, a being of immense power and terror. Many people question how or why he is so strong. Well, the answer may be even darker than you could possibly imagine. Does Sukuna eat humans and absorb their cursed energy and cursed technique? Is this the reason why he needs Megumi to stay alive? Not to keep him alive for a while, after Sukuna is fully incarnated, but so that Sukuna can eat Megumi and gain all of his power. This would explain why Sukuna has multiple cursed techniques and explain the weird consumption of his power, and also explain why people must eat his fingers to consume its power. Today, I'll be discussing this theory, something that I have postulated in my very first Jujutsu Kaisen theory months ago, and now I'm going to go back and expand upon it. The fact that Sukuna's main ability is that of eating people, and thus gaining more than just sustenance from this act. We already know that Sukuna eats people. This was confirmed in a guidebook by the Jujutsu Kaisen mangaka Akutami. Now, let's get into this theory because it gets both pretty crazy and very convincing. But with that being said, I want to welcome you guys back to the channel. This is Broku. Honestly, thank you guys so much for all the support. I keep saying it, but it really is crazy that the channel is growing so well. You guys are loving like every video I put out there, so I very, very much appreciate it. And this is a pretty big Jujutsu Kaisen theory. I'd say it's one of my better ones. It's one of my favorite ones, honestly. So let's shoot for 2,000 likes on this Jujutsu Kaisen theory. And subscribe and turn notifications if you guys want to be notified every time I upload. That also really helps with the algorithm. And also, you can join me on Discord or follow me on Twitter. Those are both linked down below as well. Now, I should start with the meat of this theory. Meat? Get it? Going over the fact that Sukuna loves to eat people within Jujutsu Kaisen. This has been mentioned in the manga and then confirmed by the Jujutsu Kaisen mangaka Akutami in the fan guidebook, where they confirmed this and then added even more context for the story. This was handled in a Q&A. The question provided to Akutami was, how long has Urame been associated with Sukuna? He answers, it's been 1,000 years. Urame was allowed to be by Sukuna's side because they could cook delicious food, and they were a Jujutsu sorcerer, of course. The next question, was Urame a chef? Akutame answers, Sukuna also eats humans, but it's hard to cook them. Or rather, there's very few people with that sort of experience, though Urame is excellent at that skill, I guess. These questions are very interesting because it confirms the fact that Sukuna does in fact consume the meat of humans. Now, Akutami states that it is hard for humans to be cooked, and that Urame is excellent at it. But what if it's really not that hard to cook humans? I mean, while it is gross to think about, it really shouldn't be that hard, which is why I think that it needs to be prepared a special way that allows Sukuna to gain the full amount of their cursed energy or cursed techniques. It is also very sus that there are multiple cursed techniques from Sukuna that would aid him in his goals of eating humans. Here is this excerpt from the Jujutsu Kaisen wiki. Sukuna's techniques names appear to have some relation with cooking. His domain expansion has been translated officially as Malevolent Shrine, but it's more literally translated as place where demons hide. It's an archaic word referred to a kitchen of the Emperor's eating area. His cutting techniques also use kanji, used in cooking to refer to dismantling and filleting fish. Pretty interesting, right? To add even further to this, Sukuna also has a fire ability. Now, one will generally need heat to cook their food, especially if this is meat that is being eaten. Now, when you pair Sukuna's cooking utensil attacks with his heat abilities, it adds quite a bit to the theory that Sukuna gains, or in the past has gained his powers from eating humans. Maybe this is why he has multiple limbs, taking these from other people, and he has multiple mouths for eating and consuming more and more and more. Now, cannibalism is generally not healthy for people. There's even ways where one can get incredibly sick from eating humans. Simply put, we are not meant to eat each other, especially not for long periods of time. But in chapter 61, it is pointed out that Sukuna is the king of poisons, but this allows for both him, and thus Yuji, as well, to be immune to all toxins. This works out so well for Sukuna in this series, because he can't get sick from another human and their cursed technique, nor their energy from it, as if it were toxic, it would simply just be negged by Sukuna's toxin resistance. God, is Sukuna just a Toriko and Hannibal Lecter fusion? Fuck, man. Now, I already think that this is a lot of evidence to support this theory. But wait, there's more. Now, we know that Yuji has an ability to consume curses, and this is an ability that is stated by Gojo, something that happens only once every 1,000 years or so. Ryomen Sukuna was an entity that was thrust into existence around 1,000 years ago during the Heian period. Does this mean that Yuji has the same ability as Sukuna? Sukuna was once a human, so while they are cursed objects now, the fingers I'm speaking of, they are still of human origin. Even Megumi thought it would be a 1 in a million chance for it to happen, because being able to ingest these would be such an incredibly rare ability. So this could show how Yuji has the same ability that Sukuna had, as its ability that is like a 1 in a million, and it's only around once every 1,000 years. Now let's bring Buddhism into this, boyos, because Buddhism plays an incredibly huge role in the series, as it plays a huge part in the world building and much, much more. In the Lankavatara Sutra, there's a chapter where it advises against eating any type of meat, but the worst meat to eat is human meat. And we know that in Buddhism, there is karma, the supernatural flow of energy that is based on one's deeds. This energy very much dictates the destiny and or fate of the individual. This means that even if Sukuna was once a good guy, it was his negative karma that morphed him to that of an evil entity, cursing him to be an evil curse that threatened humanity terribly. Even if Sukuna were a golden boy Jujutsu sorcerer, and if he only killed or ate evil cursed users, this would still negatively affect his karma. And if he absorbed people's cursed energy, cursed technique, and even soul, then this makes even more sense. If he took the essence of everyone he ate, and if he was still a good old boy before, a good old Jujutsu sorcerer, then he would have a lot of compound interest of negative karma. The negative karma from the very act of cannibalism, and the negative karma gained by consuming the essence of his enemies. We know that Sukuna has a very powerful soul, as that is how Mahito uses his powers, and yet Sukuna, while having less cursed energy than Mahito, his soul was so strong, it kind of like negged the difference there. Evil people develop negative or bad karma, and if Sukuna took all that negative karma from his enemies, as well as their powers, then it would be a perfect explanation for his possible fall from a good guy, Jujutsu sorcerer, to the big bad of the entire Jujutsu Kaisen manga. This leads me to the next portion of my theory, Megumi. Now I think that it's very possible that Sukuna needs Megumi, not for his plans as a possible ally in the future, but I believe so that he can eat him and gain his incredibly powerful cursed energy and technique. Remember, Megumi is stated by Gojo to have even more potential than Yuji. This means that Gojo believes that Megumi can even surpass himself. So remember, it is now basically canon that Megumi has the potential to surpass Gojo. Surpass Gojo. Surpass Gojo. This would be huge for Sukuna, absorbing the power of Megumi before it could possibly be used against him and end in his defeat. If he gets Megumi's power on his side, that means he's basically taken away multiple people from the Jujutsu Society that could defeat him. He already has Yuji, as Yuji, he's going to incarnate inside of him, and then if he also gets Megumi, then that's another character from the Jujutsu Sorcerer Society who could surpass Gojo or be at his level that he would have on his side, or not even on his side, he would just have their power and take that away. So this would be a huge and really good plan for Sukuna. This also allows for Sukuna to parallel Geto, who's been one of the huge villains in the series. Geto consumes curses, and this partially led to his downfall. But in this theory, Sukuna consumes far worse. He consumes humans, a much, much worse act. Remember guys, you are what you eat. Now that was probably a bad joke for this, but yeah, I do think that Sukuna might have been a good guy. Then he consumed humans, and he could have been a good Jujutsu sorcerer, and he took down bad cursed users and he ate them, but he got the negative karma from eating people, which is a bad karma thing in Buddhism. But then also, if he ate their soul and took everything from them and he absorbed their negative karma, it compiled into him, and that is how Ryumin Sukuna went from a Jujutsu sorcerer to an evil, terrible, incredibly powerful, cursed entity. Ryumin Sukuna, the title that's been passed down, the King of Curses. This would be an interesting way for multiple things, explaining his power, and also explaining how he went evil, because in the actual Japanese mythology, he is a good guy according to the provinces that he resided in. He was bad according to the imperial government, but they were tyrannical, so can they really decide morality? But if he was good in the original Japanese mythology, but he's bad in this story, what if that is the reason why? I think that it perfectly explains both. Now, let me know what you think of this theory down below. I think it's very, very interesting and honestly quite crazy. And it's something that I thought of months ago when I first made my Jujutsu Kaisen theory video, that I thought that Sukuna, he actually consumed curses. And he actually consumed, well, I didn't think it was just curses, that would be anything. He consumed them, and that's why he was the king of curses. And that's what made him to go evil. But in this, I think he actually could eat humans. He might even be able to eat both. If he's the king of curses, maybe he can eat both. Humans, eat either. I really think he could possibly eat either, but I think this all adds up with his abilities, his curse techniques. He has multiple of them. He has multiple arms. He has multiple faces, multiple mouths. He has the two different techniques that he uses, which are used for cooking. Like the actual kanji is used for like flaying fish. I believe it's called like cleaving and dismantling in the manga, like the official translations. And then the fire he can use to cook his own food. And again, it's just weird with urame, how it had to be prepared a certain way, even though in theory it shouldn't be that hard to make. So I think that it's prepared like a special way for Sukuna to gain the powers. And I do believe that's a part of his plans. He needs Megumi alive so that he can eat him when Sukuna is fully incarnated into Yuji. He can't eat him now because he's not fully incarnated. He has to wait till he's back and in full power. So let me know what you guys thought of this theory down below. I think this is the reason why Sukuna is so strong. I think it could be. And one more thing to add was we have to remember that Megumi is incredibly powerful. He summoned Maharaga, which is like the strongest Shikigami. Maharaga in Buddhism is actually a deity. So it is possible that Megumi actually spawned a deity. If Sukuna gets that power, and he has that power now inside of him and not against him later, that would be huge. Let's shoot for 2,000 on this crazy Jujutsu Kaisen Sukuna theory. Comment your thoughts, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you can follow me on Twitter and join my Discord, link down below. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...